We have special gifts that the church, whether they admit it or not, desperately needs.
There are stories to tell deep in the Choctaw Hills of southeast Oklahoma, in the urban Indian diversity of Los Angeles, the Pima Deserts of Arizona, the native village of Wrangell, Alaska. Stories highlighting the contributions of Native Americans and their unique participation within the Presbyterian Church. In the beginning, there was a collision of cultures. The government and the churches worked relentlessly to assimilate Native Americans, and land, lives, and culture were lost. Today, many Native communities, like those in Alaska, are in the process of rebuilding and reaffirming cultural values and traditions.
I think we need to be mindful of the fact that we adults of our Tlingit race, the Native Americans, need to come back to the concept that we are still, shall I say, good teachers yet, and we need to share some of the good traditions of our people, of our youth. For an example, we have a respect for our elders. We have a respect for our family. We have a respect for order. We have a respect for the world of nature. We have a respect for teachers. Our people lived through the Ice Age, the glacial period, hard times. They had courage. They had a sense of sacrifice. They had a sense of sharing. They had a sense of trust. They had a sense of self-determination. Did the Ice Age kill that? You know, I sit here today because of that kind of courage, those kinds of goodies that they had. That's why I'm sitting here today. They weren't destroyed. They weren't frozen out. They survived. Why should we walk away from those kind of good things? You know?
Many were forced to walk away from those kind of good things. Many, like Dolly Jensen, who had to leave her parents in order to attend Sheldon Jackson, the Presbyterian-run boarding school.
I lived in Klawock until I went to Sheldon Jackson School. When I was 12, I went up there for 7th grade because there was no school past that in Klawock.
Some of the traditional values that Dolly learned at home did not fit with some of the treatment she encountered, treatment that affects her self-esteem to this day.
At home, with my grandparents and my parents, we were taught to respect our elders, and especially to respect teachers and ministers. So I felt like they were in a higher place, and I think they made us feel like they were in a higher place than we were. And that isn't all of the teachers. There were some really dedicated teachers on the staff up there, but there were also some that said we were savages and uncivilized. And it's just been in recent years that I've been able to not feel like I was, that I am a person.
Dolly graduated, married her high school sweetheart, and had 5 children. Her husband died when the youngest was 3 years old, and Dolly successfully raised her children, becoming Mother of the Year in 1987. She credits both her grandfather's Indian teachings and her faith with helping her overcome obstacles.
It's taken me a long time to overcome the feeling of being put down, and I think a lot of it I've resolved within myself as I've matured, because as I matured, I've thought back to some of the teachings from my grandfather when we used to go to his home for stories after church on Sunday evening. I don't remember a lot of the stories, but one of the things that he said over and over to us was to have pride in ourselves and self-respect, and not to ever think we're better than anybody else, but it was important that we have pride in ourselves. And I think as I grew older, I understood that more, and that's helped me through a lot. And even though I feel like I've overcome it, something will happen and I'll kind of hit a low again, and it takes me a while to get back up. But since I was raised Presbyterian at home with my grandparents and my parents and going to Sheldon Jackson School, I feel that faith in God and going to church has helped me through the years in my adult life.
Dolly has integrated both her traditional family values and the values of her faith, and she believes this can also happen within the church. Recently, the Presbyterian Church in Wrangell held their first Cultural Appreciation Week, an event that Dolly helped organize.
I feel that our natives have lost a lot over the years when missionaries first came, and not only missionaries, but the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And I think through culture awareness, there'd be a better understanding among all the people in the congregation. There'd be better communication. And as a Native representative, I feel there is a need for culture awareness.
We promote the continuance of the singing of Tlingit songs and dances and preservation of the culture for the young people's appreciation, and we're hoping that this will do our youth good. It'll give them a sense of worth and a sense of pride, because in the culture that's changing, you will find discord, and you will find young people searching for something to hold on to. You find them searching for stability, and it's a means toward strengthening them in a changing time.
The Pima Reservation in Arizona is among the most economically disadvantaged of any tribe in the country. Many homes did not have running water until the 1960s. The reservation is not poor in spirit, however, or tribal values.
I think the question that people need to ask themselves is, do they truly value cultural diversity in the church? Is this a true value, or is it just lip service? I believe Native American Christians have something to offer the church at large, and that is a true sense of spirituality that has been a value that has lasted throughout our existence. It's been a value that has existed among us all the time our people have been on this earth, because we have always had a high regard for the natural powers, the creations about us, and our relationship with our Creator God that we have come to know as such. So this sense of spirituality is a strong feeling and value that exists among most tribal peoples, and strengthens the Christianity that we have learned and have adopted into our faith. And I believe this is a strength that is valuable in these times of our modern American society, when we have really become involved in technology and have forgotten that we are subject to God and His creation.
We have land, which is home base. We have our tribalism. We have our dialect, our language. We have our extended family system still intact. We still maintain some of the tribal values, regardless of outside interference. We still have a lot of values that is very much intact. We still have our belief system. We have a faith in God, that through all this suffering, that eventually someday it's going to be a better place to live. There are roughly about 5 singing groups here on the Pima Reservation who sing in their own language, in the Pima language. I think the language, the culture, identifies us who we are, Pima Indians. It is the language that makes us who we are, Indians. So I believe it's very important that we look at the cultural, look at the language, and revive. There's a lot of tribal values that are dormant that could be revived and used as coping skills when we talk about problem solving.
We have a rich, very rich heritage in second and third generation Christians, and where the ministry in translated hymns, which is really, I believe that the translated singing of our hymns is really the ministry which is a part of us as a people, that it's ours.
One of those who helped translate the hymns into the Pima language is Roland Stewart, a modest man who works at the post office. He began working at an early age, picking cotton, chopping wood, and irrigating the local non-Indian farms. His interest in church was sparked through the music, and it's still the music that keeps him and many others invigorated.
Since we had a choir that went up to different places like to Idaho, and they were always asking us, why don't you sing one of your own hymns, you know, your language, your own language. And I guess that's what kind of prompted me to maybe translate a hymn, you know, that we could sing to the people up there. So that's when I got started in translating my own hymns, and just went on from there, and it kept on going. As I went on, I learned a little more of, you almost have to kind of paraphrase them and not literally translate them, you know. And in that way, I try to bring out the message of whatever it says. So it's kind of fun. But after doing a couple, we kept on doing some more. And so we have a book compiled with about 7 to 8 translations. But out of that, I think it's about 50% of it is what I have translated. Of course, I've learned too that when I translate one, so I bring it to the choir, and we kind of agree on certain translation, certain words, you know, how it would be best, you know. And so it helps, you know, everybody has a part in it.
Many tribal values include helping those in need and having respect for one another, values that are in harmony with Christian teachings. Roland practices these teachings in his daily life, as do many others on the reservation.
There were times that I had to kind of help some of these people that were unable to repair some of their appliances, or even fixing somebody's cooler at one time. And just anything that comes up, I try to help if I can. All what I do is part of my faith journey, and just going along trying to see where I'm needed, and that would help. It doesn't pump. I need to replace it.
There are 14 Indian churches and chapels in the Southwest, located among the Pima and Maricopas, but they have to function without an ordained minister. The work is carried on by the local lay ministry and many volunteers.
A lot of my services or my work is
usually around the church just to kind of upkeep and help the maintenance man here and there whenever I can.
The Pimas hold week-long revival meetings called camp meetings, attended by all the local churches and guests from visiting tribes. Such meetings are organized by the local lay leadership and so are self-governing, self-propagating, and self-supporting.
When the church, or rather missionaries, first came on Indian reservation, they noticed that there were a lot of ceremonies, different kinds of ceremonies that was ongoing at different times. And so the early missionaries thought about how can we replace this and still maintain that identity. And so they came in with what they call the camp meeting, the week-long revivals that we have every year. Camp meeting took the place of some of the Indian ceremonies. The camp meeting was a place of gathering to do a ceremony. Now the camp meeting today is Christian people coming together and sharing the good things that has been passed on. It was changed from Indian ceremonies to Indian way of worship that we call Christianity. The week-long revival meetings took its place from the same meaning, from the ceremonies to having nightly services, Christian services, rather than having nightly Indian ceremonies.
One thing that I think Presbyterians in general need to understand if they are interested in Indian ministry and Indian churches is the fact that Indian churches develop from a different perspective. As you know, missionaries first carried the gospel to native peoples, and this history goes back to the mid-19th century. So the churches come out of a missionary-oriented perspective, which really was the structure of Indian churches very far into the 20th century, starting to the 1960s. So Indian Presbyterian churches come from a different historical base.
Bob Lewis believes it's unrealistic to expect Indian churches to make a sudden transition from missionary-controlled and governed churches to financially independent churches. He believes that more Indian ministers and new strategies are needed.
I think as Native American people, we would like to be seen not only in terms of financial considerations, but also in terms of its mission, its unique mission to Native peoples. So financial considerations are a matter of concern. We realize that, but also I think we need to work in a closer partnership in developing new strategies. I'd like to think in terms of the church's role as a corporate structure is one of enablement, to enable Indian church ministries to develop, rather than to strictly think of them in terms of organizational deficits.
The Choctaws in southeast Oklahoma are as strong and self-sufficient as their country. A group of mostly women built this church at Big Lick, Oklahoma, entirely by themselves, carrying and laying the rocks by hand. Choctaws also hold church camp meetings called singing conventions. Like many tribes, they are also very rooted to particular places, and their identity is very rooted to particular churches.
I think the place is a crucial element in terms of ministering with Choctaw people, or Chickasaws or Cherokees. The host and guest kind of relationship always was exemplified in the camp houses. You invariably would always see a church being the center of the circle, and that you may have 4 or 5 churches that surround that. or you may have 11 to 13 camp houses surrounding that in a circle fashion. It was a way in which that community expressed itself somewhat of Aztec, Mayan kind of heritage as well, where the sanctuary was the central part of the community life. And I think you find that basic symbol being gestured here in these congregations and these communities.
Rena and Mary are two independent sisters who try never to miss a singing convention. They attend for the food, hospitality, family, and fellowship, just as their parents did before them.
So this time when we had this convention, she stayed talking about, I don't know if I'm going or not. I didn't say nothing, and then the last minute I said, I'm going to try to drive. And so here we are. When we do the camping, we always plan the menu and what we're going to fix each meal, and so when it's time for that, we always look for a hog, so we can have pork. That's the main dish of I think for the Choctaws. When they camp, they look for a hog to butcher, and when we have that, we got to have some, not the biscuit, but we got to have banaha.
2 or 3 families would gather together at one camp, and they pitch in and they work together. They prepare the meals with the best that we can with our hands. And we tend to give this service through a hospitality and to show that we care, we enjoy you being here, come and eat at my camp. I made this. We pass on sometimes recipes across from one camp to another. And also we hope that this can give something to the younger generations that are coming up within our churches, that they can carry on this tradition, which has been going for many, many years, and it has never died down yet, and we tend to hope that this will continue on.
The entire community packs the church when the all-night singing conventions are held. Such conventions are conducted entirely in Choctaw and were designed by the elders to keep the language from disappearing.
We talk Choctaw in anything and say numbers in Choctaws, everything in Choctaws. I know for one thing, there's a girl that lives at Mount Zion that she knows quite well how to say these Choctaw numbers now, that I know that she didn't when we start. So that's one of the things that I noticed, that if you want to learn, I think you can. Best thing that happened to you would be just listen to us just for one night anyway. Wouldn't hurt you at all, I would say.
An active lay ministry conducts the church service and organizes the singing conventions. Like the Indian churches in the Southwest, they have been without an ordained minister for years. Gene Wilson, an ordained minister, worked among his people for over 20 years. He says the training of lay leadership is very important for his area. He also says one of the most significant events was church sponsorship of a program where young Choctaws could relearn songs and dances from the Mississippi Choctaws. Such a program was later carried into the public schools.
We had the opportunity for 7 or 8 years in which to take a group of young people back to the homeland in Mississippi and to talk with some chanters and to listen and to learn from them and to learn some of the dances. 11 songs and 11 chants we did. And we did those for a number of weeks and months and summer for various events that occurred throughout the county and sometimes throughout the state and neighboring state.
We returned to the greater Presbyterian Church. The other aspect of providing them with balance, with things that enrich people and therefore ministry as a whole, so that it's not unbalanced. And we may be few, yet we provide that element that's needed for the church to reach all peoples, all nations.
Presbyterian services help fill the void felt by Native Americans who have left their close-knit communities and live in cities like Los Angeles.
The church is all the more richer because a handful of people come once a month from all parts of Southern California to worship together, to eat together, to tell stories together. I thank my God for your vision and for this ministry.
This ministry project came out of knowing that people who have relocated here in the LA area have maybe are attending other churches but want some kind of a Presbyterian service. And so they started having this kind of a gathering table where everybody would come together, and then word kind of got out where all the Native Americans knew that once a month that they would have a service.
A caring community that watches out for one another. A caring community that cares for one another.
Some of the personal moments that I enjoy about the current ministry project are trying to see who comes up with the stories. I think each time we meet, we have an opportunity for someone in the congregation to tell a story, whether it be a traditional one or something out of the Bible. I think it's kind of important and significant in LA that we bring a lot of variety.
It's great that they can have something to go on and for people to look forward to it for each month, and knowing that they can come together and attend a worship and praise God in the community of other Native Americans and non-Native Americans as well. But it gives them a sense of home, of where they have maybe left to come here, and it gives them a sense of identity to be congregated as Native Americans. I guess most Native American churches are small and rural, and you find that in small and rural areas is the community building. And I think most people who have come here to the LA area have grown up in small rural areas, and they want to find that in their worship.
Indian people have an opportunity to bring a lot of special gifts to the church environment, and one of those is language. Being raised Navajo, as a young kid, I've always heard Navajo hymns, and hearing your own traditional language in church has a very special meaning to me.
Each person is important, and each ethnic group is important as well, and I think Native Americans have the gift of making things a lot simpler, I guess. Not being so, I guess use the word dogmatic about things, keeping life simple. We not only got to respect ourselves and respect other human beings, but we got to respect the plants, the animals, everything out there. Native Americans believe that, you know, they have a spiritual life. And if people are to believe that, then people believe that there is a God. And Native Americans have always believed that whether it's God, it's creator, or a supreme being, somebody else or someone else is responsible for everything, and that all these things are given to us through love, and we have to share that love with other people. And I think that's something that Native Americans, as a gift in which they bring, shows unity, and it should be shared throughout the world.
I've seen that there needs to be a understanding of the kind of progression. One is as you return back to affirm your roots. Once you know who you are, then you can move into pluralism because you are affirmed. And then once you move into a pluralism model, then you can be appreciative of other people's cultures, and you hope that they will appreciate you and listen to you as well as you be able to listen to them. And in a sense, that's what I would understand this concept of mutuality and mission. It's an attempt to say on the part of the church that we appreciate the fact that people are having different experiences, that they come from different cultures, that there is diversity in the culture, and the diversity can enrich the church. This is a gift that is brought to the church. And so it isn't that anyone has the corner on the market on spirituality, but there is an appreciation that God can reveal himself through many cultures, through many different peoples, through many different languages. And so there needs to be that mutual respect if the church is to grow and to be more inclusive rather than exclusive.